So into the charts we go, and we have Bitcoin falling today from the highs of yesterday, which was just pre-Fed, to the where we currently are trading. It's about $1,000 fall from approximately 18,350 to about 17,350. So again, nice little dip, not huge in the scheme of Bitcoin's move, but what it does show us is that a hawkish Fed still impacts the crypto markets, right? And you could see this in the equity markets too. I mean, if we look at the SPY today, the spiders are down, getting smoked to the downside. I mean, look at this. The Fed here, this is where we were trading pre-Fed. This is where we're currently trading. The S&P 500 down 2.7%. That is a monster drop for the S&P. The Nasdaq's down almost 4%. And again, this is telling us that Bitcoin is still considered a risk asset. When there's panic in the equity markets, when the Fed is being harsh on the overall market saying, hey, we're going to continue to have to raise rates or we're going to not lower rates, the markets, including the crypto market, is going to fall. All right, so again, that's an important little aspect to kind of understand and just keep in the back of your mind. Now, having said that, let's talk about how the beauty of the charts unfolded. Because again, I think the beauty of the charts are everything when it comes to just understanding what's going to likely happen, putting yourself in a position to be able to differentiate bullish patterns from bearish patterns. When are they going to trigger? When are they going to make moves? And let's go into it right now in this Bitcoin chart. So very clearly what we could see here, guys, is that you have a macro bear flag. So ultimately, and I've been saying this for a long time, Bitcoin's still going to head lower, right? There's your down move. There's your flag pattern here. So that's a macro bear flag. But in the near term, we had a micro bull. So you had a micro bull here. You even had a little mini micro bull flag pattern right here as well. Either way, that was telling you there was going to be a short-term move up. So we talked about this day in, day out for the last week as it was forming, how to expect a short-term pop in Bitcoin. We talked about the target of 17,600, then maybe 18,500. And ultimately what happened? We got that short-term pop. So the micro pattern, and remember, the micro, when I say micro, it means small pattern, the small pattern. When I talk about macro, it's the bigger pattern. All right, so the bigger pattern, this is the bigger pattern is bearish. The micro pattern, the smaller pattern, is bullish. Sure enough, we got the short-term bullish move, and now the macro pattern is taking over. And this is how you read charts. This is how you put probabilities in your favor. This is how you make the right decisions, not based on your gut, not based on anything but fact, but chart candlesticks that are forming before your eyes. And again, that is so important when learning how to trade. I don't care if you're trading commodities. I don't care if you're trading crypto or stocks or anything. This is stuff that is universal because it represents human beings. Every uptick, downtick in a market is buyers and sellers, greed and fear at its best. All right. In any case, let's talk a little bit about the downward move here. What are we looking for? So ultimately, I want to erase these trend lines so we can get kind of a clearer picture on this front. Basically, you have support coming in right here. So see the bull flag? You broke out. Now that becomes your support level. Okay, so again, if we go into the chart right here, and bear with me as I kind of just get things organized here, but basically if we go into the trend line and we put a trend line at the high of the bullish pattern, that is now your support line. So you want to hold 17,230 on the way down. If that holds, you have a chance to curl back up. If it starts to break, you might be starting to head back down to the downside in the charts. And eventually, retesting this low down here, which is around 15,600. And then if we get through that, we know where we're all heading, right? I've said this a million times over. We're heading down to the beautiful 12 to 13,000 level, and then eventually 9,000, where I think we will see a bottom in the Bitcoin chart. When is that bottom going to happen? Well, probably in the May to June period, right? 6 months out from the FTX. FTX occurred kind of in late November, and ultimately that puts us out in that May-ish period, and that, again, will probably be somewhere around where the bottom is put in. Now, please understand, it doesn't mean that we're going to all of a sudden rip to the upside and have a new bull market in a month or two after that. I think it's going to be a process of building trust back in the crypto markets, getting and kind of convincing institutions that the transparency is there. The only way we're going to bottom, and I think it will coincide, is if we get regulation in the crypto markets, and I think, again, that will coincide with the lows over the next 6 months. All right, let's go to Ethereum real quick here and see what we got on Ethereum. Ethereum, same kind of thing here. We had the bullish consolidation pattern short term. We had the bearish bigger pattern. Here's your up move. We hit into that resistance right there. We backed off very quickly. You're still holding this kind of sideways chop. That's fine and dandy. One of the trend lines I'm watching very closely here, we can continue to kind of watch this area right here, right? So again, this low pivot connecting through here, and we are right into that. So it's kind of important near term that Ethereum holds this area. If it does give way, I think you start trading down towards the 1200 level, which again is this high area here. And if you get through that, then you're looking at moving down into this support double bottom around just below 1100. Eventually, is it possible that we could revisit this level down here, 875 or so? Yeah, in fact, I think we'll not only revisit it, we'll probably get a bounce off of it, but eventually I think we actually break it to the downside. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Next up, let's take a look at some of these other ones. Cardano, and by the way, the altcoins are seeing some drops here that is much, much bigger than Bitcoin. So we are seeing Bitcoin dominance grow. I think that's important because Bitcoin, again, we know, number one, it's a commodity versus a security, which some of these other ones will be. Number two, Bitcoin is the staple that is kind of crypto at this point. It's kind of known as the safest one. So you are seeing in this kind of fear environment that we are getting this this kind of Bitcoin dominance to reemerge, and I think that is worth noting. Now you can see here Cardano dropping. Where's it going? Very simply put, right back to this low. That is going to be support at around 29.5 cents. So that's a level that I'm watching very closely on Cardano. Can it hold that level? Can it hold that level? That's going to be the big level on Cardano. On Polkadot, same kind of deal here. You can see the rollover. We haven't taken out these recent lows just yet, but again, I will put in a trend line right there. Right now, this is your level to watch, which is right at $5. We are hovering above that. So relative to Cardano's chart, this is a stronger chart on Polkadot. Same thing, Ethereum's a stronger chart than Cardano, as is Bitcoin. Because again, Cardano's basically back to the lows. You know, while you see obviously Bitcoin still, you know, a couple $1,000s off its lows, Ethereum's way off percentage-wise its lows, and even here, even this is still decently above. It's not above by a lot, but it is above for sure. All right, next up, let's take a look at Near. Near continuing to downtick a little here. Still trading at 160, still in the money. The only thing I care about is this bottoming tail right here. This is a classic bottoming tail. And again, for those of you that are unsure about what bottoming tails are, bottoming tails need to be at the lowest point in recent history, which this is. It needs to have a long tail. The tail has to be at least 50% of the entire high to low of the candle. That's exactly what this is. The body has to be in the upper 50% and the close has to be in the upper 25%. All of those match in this criteria. So in terms of watching to see how this holds up, just put a trend line right there. The only way a bottoming tail fails is if you get a daily close below that low pivot right there, and as of now, we're quite a ways away from that. Doesn't mean we're not going to test it and eventually break it down the line, but right now, we are holding on to that beautifully. All right, let's take a look at Matic, and again, Matic coming back in here, although Matic, again, in all fairness, still kind of holding the bullish pattern. In fact, I want to redo this bullish pattern because it looks to me like there's a little bit of a better parallel channel that I can now see emerging here, and again, we could see there to there, right? So there you have that new parallel channel, and the fact of the matter is, it's still a bull flag. It never broke out, still bullish consolidation. It is kind of testing the lower end of that channel, which we have to monitor, but nonetheless, nice little consolidation. You still got to break above this line here around 95 cents to get a breakout, and as of now, it doesn't look promising considering the equity markets are selling, crypto's selling, although, again, things can change on a dime, obviously. All right, let's take a look at Solana. Solana actually hanging in there relatively well. I'm somewhat impressed with Solana. You don't hear that being said very often in this day and age in the last month or so, but again, Solana tested the $15 level. We knew that was the line to break. It did not break it. It briefly pierced it, but it didn't hold above it, and obviously it backed off. But then today, you're just holding right here. So while the rest of the crypto markets back down, you have Solana at least holding around the $14 level, which is slightly positive at this point. Okay, same thing, still inside bar price action. Can it break out above 15? Like I've said, if you break above 15, and by the way, there's probably a ton of shorts that are trying to keep it down. People were shorting it left and right when there was all these rumors out there. Honestly, I think it's held up amazingly well considering. But again, you know, if it can break above 15, you could get a big short squeeze in the mix. Taking a look quickly at Avalanche, and again, we'll go to Avalanche here. Avalanche, after that beautiful pop, coming back in, still looking fine. You still have this upsloping trend line. Then you still have these lows. But again, in relative to this low, you're still quite a ways off of it, which again is short-term bullish when you compare it to like a Cardano chart or other things like that. We can quickly go over a couple other charts out there. We can take a look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin slowly curling over here. The biggest level on Doge here is going to be right here, guys. And again, that's going to be your big level there. Let me get the right trend tool out here so I can put that trend line in. This is obviously your big point, right? So Dogecoin had this beautiful pop. I think that was when, you know, Elon Musk was buying out Twitter. Was he going to make it a kind of the universal Twitter crypto? To be honest, I haven't heard him mention much about Dogecoin lately, so it's probably off the table. Price action probably does continue to come down, at least into this level here, and we'll watch from there. But either way, I mean, that's pretty remarkable. Let me just see here if there's anything else. I want to just bring up a Doge. See here, we got Binance chart. Yeah, there's the Binance chart, which is fine to do as well. That gives us the actual penny versus market cap. But anyway, same level right there. So basically, you're looking around 7 cents is going to be your downside support. And then if it breaks through that, you have a chance to go revisit where it was trading just before that big run up there. And that would be right around 5.8 cents on the chart. But again, in all fairness, I don't see a whole lot here. I think, again, being short Doge is a little bit risky just because, again, Elon Musk, you just never know with him. He could come out and say something. And you know, even though I think Doge long-term is probably worthless, there's always the risk of a short-term spike. So you want to be careful about shorting something like Dogecoin. Quickly, we can take a look at BNB. BNB continues to be in the news, retesting again in the second time in 3 days, this level of around 255. It needs to hold that. If it doesn't hold this area of around 250, 255, it becomes very vulnerable for a move down, probably to 242, but eventually down to about this 185 level down here. So I'm watching pretty closely here. This is an interesting level on Binance. And again, it's been hammering quite a bit, which we know from the methodology tells us that the level has weakened here. Can it hold, or is it going to slice through now and start heading back down? All right, guys, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Certainly no lack of intriguing action in the crypto markets following the Fed. What I'm curious now is into year end, how does crypto behave? The Fed is behind us until next year. Big economic reports for the most part are behind us. We come into the second half now. Today's the 15th of December. The second half will be holiday and holidays. We got New Year's, we got Christmas, we got all these other holidays. How is crypto going to behave during these periods? That's what we're going to watch and find out. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I will talk to you soon. Take care.